No More Stinky Monkeys production. Paul Newman had a scene in one movie that connected me to him forever. He made a movie in the 80s called Absence of Malice, in which he played the son of a well-known mobster. He was a good guy who lived a clean life and was being harassed by the feds and the press on suspicion that he was a mobster as well. Living down in Florida, he owned a beer distributing warehouse and worked probably just as hard as some of his employees. In one scene, he's having lunch when a reporter played by Sally Field comes to interview him. You figure he's got to be, if not rich, at least very well off. And what is he having for lunch? A sandwich, some chips, and a soda. Maybe it was a beer, but it's the same concept. This well-off man has a working man's lunch. It may have seemed like a nothing scene, but with Paul Newman, no scene is ever a nothing scene. Every movement, every gesture has purpose, and this lunch told me all I needed to know about this man. That he was, in his little world, a man of the people. How many rich people do you know who are satisfied with a lunch of a sandwich, soda, and chips? Probably not many, but I'll tell you, if I had $1 million, that would still be my favorite kind of lunch. May not be the healthiest, but it's still the tastiest. Paul Newman's death is not a tragedy. The man led about as great a life for a very long time than one can ever hope to lead. Except for the drug-induced death of his only son back in the 70s and the end of his first marriage in his 20s, he had both a charmed and charming life. He made 60 movies, with about 10 of them being classics. He was a star in 6 different decades. His last movie was his biggest with the animated Disney film Cars. He was married to the love of his life, Joanne Wood, for 50 years, had 6 children, was nominated for 9 Oscars and won 1 for Best Actor. He directed some good movies, and later in life started a charitable foundation through his own delicious food products that generated $250 million to support things like summer camps for sick kids. He is spoken of well by almost all who knew him. Please tell me where the tragedy is in any of that. See this shirt I'm wearing? It's from my second favorite Paul Newman movie called Slapshot. This is him right here. It might be the lowest brow movie he ever made and came at a time, 1977, when he was mostly just going through the motions as an actor. But this film got him a new, younger audience and still makes people die laughing to this day. Newman put in a great performance as a washed-up hockey player/coach who puts his old ways aside to embrace a new, more violent style of hockey. Very much the same way Newman would put away his old ways to embrace the new ways in filmmaking. He was 52 when he made this movie and yet looked 40. Paul called this one of his favorites as well. Looking through the list of his greatest movies, I have to admit that I haven't seen very many of them, maybe 10 of these films. But what I've seen I mostly liked. The only one I ever saw in the movies was Fort Apache the Bronx, and while it has a rough B quality to it, it did set up the realistic way we watch cop dramas now, like NYPD Blue, The Wire, and The Shield. The Verdict was the best in my eyes, because here was this big-time movie star, not just playing a broken-down, drunken lawyer, but a super loser as well, who truly hated himself and hung his head in a hangdog way. You see great-looking actors playing ugly characters, but you never see them play the guy that no one notices. With the rest, Absence of Malice is a favorite because by the 80s he had found his passion for acting again. Cool Hand Luke is a great movie, but the mental and physical beatings he takes in the movie are just too much to take. And Butch Cassidy and The Sting suffer in my eyes for one reason: the pairing of Newman and Robert Redford. They are both too cool for school, and in any great buddy movie, you can't have 2 cool guys. One should be crazy and passionate, and the other should be the cool, amused guy. Lethal Weapon, 48 Hours, Odd Couple. They did it right. His best early film is The Hustler, with Newman as Fast Eddie Felsen, Jackie Gleason as Minnesota Fats, Piper Laurie as the alcoholic girlfriend, and George C. Scott in perhaps his best role that wasn't Patton, as the money man who covers the bets when Fast Eddie play pool. Personally, I think George C. Scott steals the movie with his perverse and nasty personality, but Newman does a great job playing cocky one minute and then disgusted with himself the next. He played the role again 25 years later and won his Oscar in The Color of Money, but that sequel left me cold. His 2 best later films were Cars, where he gave his voice to a car named Hudson, and in Road to Perdition, where he played the most evil character of his career, the old Irish gangster John Rooney. Rooney loves his adopted son Tom Hanks, but out of family loyalty, he has to side with his vicious biological son James Bond's Daniel Craig. The showdown between Hanks and Newman on a rainy Chicago street is fitting as one generation's greatest actor passes the baton to perhaps the next generation's greatest actor. As for his looks, I always thought of him as handsome, but not a pretty boy. He was too much of a man for that. My wife says he has probably the most beautiful blue eyes you'd ever see on a man, and I have to admit that on every magazine cover I've seen him on lately, those eyes do jump off the page. I guess it helped him look into men's souls and play them better than almost any actor of his day. He was 1 year younger than Marlon Brando and was compared unfavorably to him in the 50s, but I think he left Brando in the dust once the 60s rolled around. My favorite line of his is from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Looking over the rocky cliff that he and Sundance will have to jump off, well, here it goes.
I'll jump first.
Nope.
Then you jump first.
No, I said.
What's the matter with you?
I can't swim!
Why, are you crazy? The fall will probably kill you.
Well, that's my Paul Newman obituary. Ciao.